This is the last way delivery man Mike Sweeney ever expected he'd be commuting to work.
How did you used to commute?
Like everybody else. Drive over the bridge.
No big deal.
No big deal.
That's the Lake Champlain Bridge between New York and Vermont, when there still was a bridge. FDR opened it in 1928, and it carried as many as 4,000 vehicles a day until last fall, when, with almost no warning, it was closed. The American Society of Civil Engineers issues a report card every 4 years on the state of America's infrastructure, and the last one in 2009 was not good at all. The overall grade was a D.
D. That's as good as it gets.
And it's not getting any better. Back in 2005, we also did a report card, and it was still a D there, so we haven't gained any ground.
Andrew Herman helped write the report card, which examined every aspect of the country's infrastructure. Bridges got a C, but even with that average grade, 12% of them, more than 72,000 bridges, are too old, or what's politely called structurally deficient.
Well, it means we've been ignoring our infrastructure for decades. We've been underinvesting in what we have.
The problem with bridges became impossible to ignore in 2007 when the I-35 bridge collapsed in Minneapolis. 13 people died. Mike Sweeney began rowing to work in Vermont last October when engineers became so alarmed after an underwater inspection of the pilings holding up that bridge.
We have a vertical crack.
That they closed it with just 10 minutes warning. No lives were lost, but life has not been the same since.
80% of my business came across that bridge.
Lisa Cloutier owns what used to be known as the Bridge Restaurant until she decided to change the name, on the Vermont side of Lake Champlain. On a snowy day last December, she watched them blow up that bridge.
Wow.
It wasn't worth saving. Now, the only way across is either by ferry or a 90-minute drive. A new bridge will cost at least $70 million. And spending money is part of the solution. China spends 7% of its GDP on infrastructure, India 5%. But the United States spends less than 2%, and engineers think the U.S. will have to spend $2.2 trillion over 5 years to bring the overall grade for infrastructure up to an A.
Do you think governments will be able to sell taxpayers on this notion?
It's going to be difficult.
But the solution isn't just spending money, it's also spending money wisely on things like research and development. At the University of Michigan, Dr. Victor Lee is close to perfecting a new kind of concrete, flexible concrete. It's one bright idea that could have a big payoff. Lee's concrete is not only flexible, but it also heals itself. Any cracks that form will expose millions of tiny microfibers that form a seal when exposed to air and water. The cracks fill themselves in before they compromise safety.
Would a bridge made with self-healing concrete last longer than a bridge made today?
Definitely. A good number to keep in mind would be a 100-year lifetime.
The problem is self-healing concrete will probably cost 3 times as much as the regular stuff. But the experts say there's no getting around it. Any improvement to any infrastructure is going to cost.
We're going to have to do that now for the future, for our grandchildren.
The engineers insist if we don't start spending money and spending it wisely, more and more Americans will end up in the same boat as Mike Sweeney, and soon. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Vergennes, Vermont.